Good morning. This is Robin from Hope from the Well, and I'm so glad to be with you today. I have some things I want to share with you about Jesus and women of the first century and now. But before I do that, I want to tell you of some upcoming events here at Women at the Well. On August the 31st, we will have our camel walk. You may already have gotten a letter from one of our ladies, and it would be asking you to sponsor one lady for $25 or all of our ladies for $300. If you want to do that, just give us a call. We'll let you know how you can do that today, but there's several ways that we can make that happen, and we would love to have your support in this one of our largest fundraisers of the year. The walk will actually be August the 31st at 11 a.m. at the regional park, and we just meet there and walk and celebrate what God is doing in the lives of our ladies at Women at the Well. Another upcoming event is November the 14th. We will be having our banquet. This banquet is to celebrate 25 years of being a ministry at Women at the Well, and that will be November the 14th. If you are interested in attending that banquet, just let us know. We will be sending out some notices about that, and hopefully if you'd like to even sponsor a table or help us to sponsor that event by giving an item or something to do in a silent auction, we need your help. We ask that the community come around on this particular event and help us to make this the greatest night ever for Women at the Well, because it's our 25th anniversary. So what I want to share with you about one of the women in the Bible that Jesus encountered, of course, was the woman at the well. So I'm really going to be sharing with you a lot about that. But I want to just give you some information to begin with. I'm doing a study called The First Century Woman and Now, that Jesus and the First Century Woman and Now. And it has been so good. I just have to share what I'm learning in this study with you. One of the things in that study is that as a believer and a studier of the Word, we are to be a river and not a lake. A river is flowing and giving to others what we take in, and a lake just kind of holds it, and it becomes stagnant like the Dead Sea. The Jordan River continually flows, and it's alive, and it brings life, but it dumps into the Dead Sea, and that becomes just a place of stagnation, and nothing can live there. And so we want to be a river and not a lake. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm being a river, and I'm going to share with you what God is doing, what Jesus is doing in this study of Jesus and the first century woman. What I'm learning, I want to give to you. But there's a verse in the Bible that says, "Taste and see that the Lord is good." So I want you today to think of what we're doing is not just a Bible study, but it's a dinner. Okay, it's a feast. We are eating and taking in the Word together, what Jesus is doing. So and also in Psalm 19:10 it says, "More to be desired." This word is more to be desired than gold, even much finer than gold, sweeter than honey, and the drippings of a honeycomb. So Jesus, in the first century woman, every woman that he came across, he gave that woman two things. One, he gave her justice. Two, he gave her righteousness. Now, why did the first century woman need these two things? And I'm going to share what those two things mean. Justice, the word for justice here is mespah. Justice is someone who is in a place of honor, someone up here in a place of honor, reaching down to someone down here in a place of shame and bringing them up to where he's at in a place of honor. It's an honorable person bringing up a shameful person up and helping them come above what they are in. And so that's what Jesus did to every woman. You can see it in the story. That's what he did with every woman that he come across. And we're going to start by looking at also the word righteousness. The word, he gave them justice, bringing them up from a place of shame to a place of honor. And he did it in a righteous way. The word righteousness means setting what is right, making it right, but also it means generosity. Jesus didn't just give these women a little bit of justice. He didn't just have to bring them a little bit out of shame. No, he brought them a generous amount of justice so that they're brought completely out of their shame and living the life that he intended them to do. He brought them a righteous amount of justice. So we see that Jesus is doing this to this woman, particularly in the story of John 4. The woman at the well. And I'm just going to read some of that. I'm going to paraphrase a little bit for lack of time, but it says, now that when Jesus had learned that the Pharisees had heard that Jesus was making and baptizing his disciples more than John, although Jesus himself did not baptize, but only his disciples, he left Judea and departed again to Galilee. And he had to pass through Samaria. Let me just say to you, just give you a little bit of background. He went through Samaria. He went straight up through Samaria. A lot of the Jewish people went around that because they did not want to encounter the Samaritans. Why? Because there was like a 700-year beef between the Samaritans and the Jewish people because of the fact that the Jewish people had, when taken into captivity by the Assyrians, had disobeyed God and had intermarried with the Assyrians, and out of that became the Samaritans. So there was a lot of, we don't like you, when you're less than, you are on the shameful level, because this is a culture of honor up here, shame down here, and they considered that the people in Samaria were down here in the shameful level. And so because of that, Jesus, he decided, though, he went through Samaria, but many were going around it because they did not want to be around the Samaritan people. So Jesus goes to that city, and it's called Sychar. So he came toward the Samaritan city called Sychar, near the field of Jacob, had given to his son Joseph. And Jacob's well was there, so Jesus was wearied from his journey, and he was sitting beside the well, and it was about the 6th hour. It was about the 12 noon for us, that time of day. 12 noon, it can be a very hot part of the day. And a woman from Samaria came to draw water, and Jesus said to her, "Give me a drink." So I'm going to stop right there just a minute. Remember, I told you that the Samaritan people were not thought as well of as the Jewish people by the Jews. In fact, they didn't like them at all. And so they didn't speak to the Samaritan people. Well, here we have a Samaritan woman coming to the well. Now, on the shame level, Samaritan here, but she's a woman. That just brought her down another notch on the shame level. So here's this Samaritan woman coming to the well, and Jesus asked her for a drink. Now, talking to her was not heard of. And so he said, "Give me a drink," for his disciples had gone into town to buy food. And the Samaritan woman said to him, "How is it that you, a Jew, ask me for a drink, a Samaritan woman?" Now I want to look at that just a little bit further into, she was a woman. I just said that a minute ago, but why was she not considered very valuable? Well, there was a teaching before Jesus came, but about a 200-year period of time, there was some teaching from a man named Ben Sora. Ben Sora was a man that just did not like women, apparently, and he put out some really bad instructions concerning women, like, don't count everything you give your wife to make sure that she don't steal something. I mean, he put in seeds into the men's minds that he was teaching, that taught them to not trust women, to not like women, to think that women were not valuable. And so that's where this Samaritan woman, down on the low scale, was coming from when she said, "Why is it that you, being a Jew, ask me, a woman of Samaria? For the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans." And Jesus answered her, "If you knew the gift of God, and he who is giving you he who is saying this to you, 'Give me a drink,' you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water." And the woman said to him, "Sir, you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. Where do you get this living water?" In other words, you don't have your own bucket. You don't have a way to draw. And I thought there's another point here we need to think about. Jesus was really asking her to use her water jug or her water pitcher to go down and get the water, or whatever bucket was there, from someone else. But he was asking her to do that, and he was going to drink after something she had touched. There's a lot of Jewish people during that time, teachers and rabbis, that would have thought that was going to defile them if they drank after a woman, a Samaritan woman. So I'm sure that's one of the reasons she was so surprised for Jesus to be asking her that. And then Jesus tells her, "If you'd have known, you'd have asked me, and I'd give you living water." And she says, "Where do you get this living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob?" She begins to talk to him about spiritual things. "He gave us this well and drank from it himself, as did his sons and his livestock." And Jesus said to her, "Everyone who drinks of this water will thirst again, but whoever drinks of the water that I give him will never thirst again. And the water that I give him will become in him a spring of water welling up to eternal life." He is talking to her as if she was one of his students, one of his disciples. He's sharing a spiritual truth with her. And in doing so, he's bringing her from this place down here at the bottom where a Samaritan woman was at, to up on the scale, up closer to a place of honor, a place that has value. And the woman said to her, "Sir, give me this water so that I may not thirst and not have to come here anymore." And Jesus said to her, Go and call your husband." And then the woman says, "I have no husband." And then Jesus says to her, you're saying, what you're saying is right. You have no husband, for you've had 5 husbands, and the one that you're with now is not your husband. What you have said is true." And the woman said to him, "Sir, I perceive that you are a prophet." So, some people might think, well, why did he mention that to her? That almost feels like instead of bringing her here, he might be talking about what she's done in her past and bringing her down. But I believe that Jesus was saying that to her and bringing out these facts about her life so that she would know, hey, I know everything about you, but I'm still talking to you at this well. I'm still sharing with you at this well. Well, I'm getting really close to the end of my time here, so I'm going to have to pick up on some of this next week. But I want you to ask yourself, do you feel like that you are like this woman at the well and you've done too much? You're down here on the shame level. You need to be lifted up, but you don't think it's possible? Let me tell you, it is possible. Every woman that Jesus meets, he gives them justice and righteousness. And he wants to do that with you. He wants to bring you out of your shame, out of your sin, and bring you up to a place of honor, to a place where you're serving him. And so I'm going to pick up with that next week. I just want you to know this. If you have Jesus, you always have hope. And thank you for tuning in today.